Has anybody read the book, The 4-Hour Working Week by Tim Ferriss? Brilliant, isn't it? Who's putting it into practice? Trying to, yeah. It is a brilliant example. He's got fantastic examples of the 80-20. 20% of what you do will bring 80% of the results. 20% of your clients will probably cause 80% of your hassles. When you know what you're trying to achieve, then it's easy to identify the 20% activities, and then we've just got to do them. So maybe the key to turning around your business, achieving what you want, is simply changing your focus, changing your attention. If it's not, maybe it's another level. Maybe it's connected to the filters that you use. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of people to illustrate what I mean by this. I was asked to coach a guy who, very clever, and he was planning on expanding his business to the next level. He had all this strategy, he was a strategic thinker and knew exactly what to do. But he kept putting off doing it. Now this didn't seem logical. And when we delved a little bit with a coaching session, what came to his mind was something his mum said to him when he was 14 years old. And he saw this sports car for sale in their village, this red sports car, and he really, really fancied it. And he said to his mum, I'm going to save up my pocket money and my Saturday job money, and when I'm 16, I'm going to get a car like that. And his mum said, no, son, people like us, we don't have those kind of cars. And that little belief, sown back then, was contributing to him not driving his business forward. Sometimes the filters that we use, the things which have shaped our beliefs, they need to be updated. You know, sometimes we get caught in these old patterns. Another example, a lady I was asked to coach, she used to get really stressed on Wednesdays. She'd got into this habit of being really stressed. Tuesday night she couldn't sleep. She ran a business which involved distributing leaflets. And every Wednesday all the leaflets would come in and she'd have to organise everybody, and she also had a lot of young kids to manage as well. She'd get really stressed. Now she knew what to do. She had the skills, they weren't missing. It was her thinking that was getting in the way. And all we had to do was change her attention. And she just had to write some post-its saying, I am calm and in control. And she did that, and she stuck them on her car, she stuck them in all over the place. And when I saw her a week later, I said, well, how was Wednesday? She said, it was fine. Absolutely fine. So the thing to write down is, what does my internal chat say that fuels or fears the doubts holding me back? What is your internal chat? And to inspire and make me feel good, what do you need to say instead? So that could be all that's needed. You just need to change what you're saying to yourself. You can spend more time later reflecting on this. The next level I'm going to share with you is the body. Our body is incredibly clever, okay? If I said the word dentist, how does that make you feel? Not great, perhaps. Makes me shudder. If I said the word ice cream, how does that make you feel? Usually better. What happens is our brains do a quick search for something to connect things to. And sometimes the connections that we make are positive and they help us. Sometimes they're not. I worked with a guy who lost his motivation for his business completely. Couldn't work out why. Completely illogical. When I did some thought pattern management, his body was causing this block because of some event that happened when he was a little kid. I worked with, I'll have to sort of move on quickly, but our unconscious mind, our body, sends information through neuropeptides and all sorts of stuff. We're only beginning to understand the mind-body connection. When we tune into our body, when we tune into our intuition, it can be a fantastic ally to help you. Yeah, there's people nodding here. We've got senses in our body. We've not just got intelligence in our brain. And that's why sometimes when things are not fun, we don't want to do them because our body's going, no, I don't want to do that. The more we orient around what's fun and what feels right, the easier it is. Some of this is really simple, but we don't apply it. The last thing I'm going to talk about very briefly is at NASA, by the way, know that we've got at least 30 means of sensing. Telepathy is just one. How many times are you thinking about somebody and they phone you up? Yeah. If we could tune much more into our bodies, which senses and interprets so much more information round about us than our very slow conscious mind. So in the point 5, when I'm not doing something that makes sense, it could be that it's chained to past memories. And when I lose my motivation, could my intuition, with access to much more information, be trying to tell me something wise? Because sometimes there's a reason we don't do something, and our body knows more than just our head. Our head can think us into all sorts of plans of action, but when it comes to implement it, if it doesn't feel right for us, we will put off. It will be difficult. The last thing, very quickly, is there's a field of thought pattern management which I'm trained in, and mental landscape is one of the ways that our unconscious mind organises information. We organise stuff round about us. Most of us are not aware of it, but people who are really successful, and I was speaking to Steve earlier, Steve Cook, he's got a project that has been phenomenally successful in a month. And I said to him, where is it in your mental landscape? And he said it was right here, coming out of here, all round about and focused. When I talk to people who have got a project that they are not achieving, maybe they want to write a book, it's usually way over there. Or one lady was into her 3rd career. She couldn't get a handle on it. It's because it was way over here. The first guy I worked with once I'd trained in this was an accountant, and he had this big business proposal he had to put together to the bank, and he couldn't get his head round it. The language he used, I can't get my head round it. I asked him, where is it? It was here. He couldn't get his head round it. We moved it out here, and he could deal with it. Our mind organises information, our body organises information, and when we know how our mental landscape works, we can move things to make achieving our goals far, far easier. Now, one last little example. The guy who developed thought pattern management was working with somebody who felt that he wasn't progressing in his career. He'd reached his limit. Now, he was really pissed off because he wanted to earn more and he wanted to move on, but he never seemed to be able to put himself forward. And his unconscious mind had made a connection between his work context and when he was a child and he lived on a barge. And his mum, to stop the kids falling off the boat, tied them to a leash. And his unconscious mind had made a connection between the end of the limit of the rope and the end of the limit of his career. All he had to do was metaphorically cut the rope and he could then go up. We have got so much more that we could be tapping into and using. My aim today is just to help you understand a little bit about these 5 levels. 20 minutes is hardly enough. But with a little bit more awareness, the next time you come across something that's holding you back, a challenge, something that you're not applying or you're not getting the results that you want to, take this and have a look and try and work out what's going on, which level needs attention. And then you can take ownership. So the last little bit in the blue box is, are all my business projects, my 20% activities, self-belief. One lady who had big inner conflict and no self-belief asked where it was, couldn't find it, asked her unconscious mind to get a torch out and look, she was standing on it. She'd been trampling her self-belief. No wonder she wasn't finding her career moving on. So, are they optimally located? That's part of it. And are you organising your resources so they're to hand? And are you recycling any old unhelpful doubts? There's a little bit on there. If any of you want to find out about your mental landscape, I'm conducting research with the family of Robert Fletcher, who developed this programme, developed this whole field. If you're interested, please give me a call. You will learn a huge amount. There's absolutely no fee. It's part of a research project which I hope to be getting published in the NLP Innovations Manual, and also in presenting perhaps at the National Conference later this year. So if you want to find out more about your mental landscape, please give me a shout. Okay, thank you.